From King Kong Theory by Virginie Despentes, published by Fitzcarraldo in the UK and by Farrar Strauss in the US. This is Virginie's 2009 punk feminist manifesto, and I was so grateful and so happy to be able to work on a new translation of it. This is from the section at the point when she published her first novel, Baise-moi, which was hugely controversial. In '93, I published Baise-moi, first review, Polar magazine, by a guy, 3 whole pages, putting me back in my box. It's not the fact that the book doesn't work on its own terms that bothers the guy. Actually, he doesn't discuss the book. It's all about the fact that I'm a girl writing about female characters this way, and without troubling to question his opinion. He's a guy, so obviously he assumes he has the right to tell me what I can do according to what he considers appropriate. This complete stranger tells me, publicly tells me, I have no business doing this. Who gives a fuck about the book? It's my gender that matters. Who gives a shit about who I am, where I'm from, what matters to me, who my readers will be, or punk culture in general? Grandpa will step in, wielding his scissors, and he'll snip it off my mental prick. He knows how to deal with girls like me. And he quotes Jean Renoir, films should be made by pretty women and show pretty things. At least it gives me a title for another book. At the time, it's so ludicrous, I just laugh. Later, my attitude changes when I realize I'm being attacked from all sides by people who only care about one thing. She's a girl, a girl, a girl! I've got a cunt plastered over my mouth. At this point, I haven't had many dealings with the world of adults, certainly not normal adults, and at first I'm surprised by how many people seem to instinctively know precisely what you can and cannot do as a girl in the city. When you become a public woman, you get attacked from all sides in a very particular way, but you can't complain because that's frowned upon. If you're going to survive, you need a sense of humor, a lot of distance, and balls of steel. Reams of discussion about whether I had the right to say what I'm saying as a woman, my gender, my looks in every single article, kindly for the most part. No one would think to describe a male writer the way they do a female writer. No one felt the need to say that Houellebecq was handsome. If he'd been a woman, and lots of guys liked his books, they'd have felt obliged to say he was handsome, or not, one way or the other. We'd have known what they thought about the subject. In 9 out of 10 articles, critics would have tried to take him down a peg or two, to explain in great detail that he too was sexually frustrated. He would have been told that it was all his own fault, that he wasn't going about it the right way, that he had no right to complain about anything. They would have mocked him. Have you seen the state of the guy? They would have been extremely vicious about him if, as a woman, Houellebecq had said the things about sex and love with men that he has actually written about sex and love with women. The same talent would have been treated very differently. In a man, not liking women is a pose. In a woman, not liking men is a pathology. Can you imagine a woman who isn't particularly attractive complaining that men are incapable of making her come? You'd hear a lot about her looks, the sordid details of her family background, her hang-ups, her problems. It's hardly surprising that most women, after a certain age, try not to make waves. And don't come telling us that it's a question of character or nature, that we don't like to be provocative, that we'd rather stay home with the kids. You wouldn't believe the sort of shit you have to deal with if you try and say something. Even the most batshit crazy guy in hip-hop isn't treated as badly as a woman. And it's not like we don't know what white people think of black people. There's nothing worse than being a woman and being judged by men. Everything is permitted, starting with blows below the belt. We're not even foreign, but we're constantly subtitled because we don't know what it is to have a say, or not, as well as the dominant males who have spent centuries writing books on the subject of our womanhood and all it entails. It's at this point that I discover, to my shock, that any shithead with a schlong believes he's allowed to speak on behalf of men in general, of masculinity, of warrior peoples, of lords, of leaders, and therefore has the right to give me lessons about being a woman. No one cares that the guy is 4 foot shit, wider than he's tall, and hasn't shown a flicker of masculinity ever in anything. He is male, and me, I'm the other sex. I'm the only one who's shocked at being systematically put back in my box marked female. I'm compared to other women, Marie Darrieussecq, Amélie Nothomb, Laurette Nobécourt, anyone as long as we're talking about the same age and the same gender, obviously. As a woman, I'm entitled to double helpings of amused condescension, additional humiliation, slaps on the wrist, who I hang out with, where I go, what I spend, where I live, under surveillance of every kind. A girl. Then comes the film and the ban. Obviously, true censorship isn't meted out by the laws. It's a little more like a piece of advice. And they make sure you get the message. So 3 porn stars and an ex-hooker who can't make a movie about rape. Not even a low-budget movie, a genre film, a parody. This is important. Like we're a threat to national security. No movies about gang rape in which the female victim doesn't cry snotty tears on the shoulder of some guy who'll later avenge her. We will have none of that. All but unanimous support in the press. The famous right to say no to pornography. Me and 3 other women who made the movie depicted as only being in it for the money. Yeah, right. No one need to actually see the film to know what to think. The only reason for women to dabble in sex is to steal money from fine, upstanding men. Sluts. Otherwise, we'd have made a movie about vast meadows with frolicking puppies, a film about women who spend their lives seducing men. Actually, we wouldn't have made a movie at all. We would have stayed in our bucks. Sluts. Goes without saying. Karen's body on the front page, perfectly normal. Sluts. Anyone has the right to use her body to sell newspapers. I mean, she flaunted it. Slut. And then a minister of culture, a woman, a socialist of the champagne tendency, issues a statement declaring that an artist should take responsibility for what she depicts. No need for men to take responsibility when 3 of them gang rape a girl. No need for men to take responsibility when they visit whores but don't support laws that would allow them to work safely. No need for society to take responsibility when movie after movie depicts women as victims of excruciating violence. It's women who need to take responsibility for what is done to us, for refusing to let it kill us, for trying to get past it, for opening the wound. It's the same old song. We're always to blame for what happens.